Father, this night we ask you to do something radical in our midst. Father, this night we ask you to do something worthy of your great name. Father, we ask you to do something of eternal significance, because that's the kind of God you are. Lord, you don't draw on that which is old and dry and worn out. Lord, you're new in your mercies and grace every morning. God, tonight speak to us from heaven. And give us ears to hear and hearts to respond. May not a single one escape your voice tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. You can be seated. Before I get into the message, I want to say something very clearly to everyone here. All of us in ministry are used to preaching and teaching and opening up the Word and bringing something fresh from God. But there are times when God speaks with special urgency to us. There are times of unusual clarity and force that the Spirit moves on us. The prophet Ezekiel, when God got hold of him, in Ezekiel the 3rd chapter, God told him, I'm going to make your tongue cleave to the roof of your mouth. Why? Well, Ezekiel was in the midst of a sinful people, and he had seen the glory of the Lord, and it would be very easy for him to constantly be rebuking his people. He had seen the glory, he knew the sin of his people, the burden was great. It would be very easy for him always to be speaking out of his own heart and not speaking what God wanted to say. So his tongue cleaved to the roof of his mouth until the fall of Jerusalem in 586. And the only time he could speak was when the Lord moved on him. Picture you're over visiting Ezekiel. He's a dear friend. He doesn't say much, but you enjoy his company. And you're over there, and you're just sitting there, maybe visiting with his wife before she went to be with the Lord. And Ezekiel's maybe nodding, and you're asking him some things, and you're feeling okay today, Ezekiel? Been having a good time with the Lord? The Lord showing you anything? Maybe you're back there the next day, another week, and suddenly he looks up and says, this is what the Lord says. I tell you, that would get your attention. Now, one time, we had some friends over at our home. My dear wife, Nancy, is sitting here, and she'll verify the story. Of course, if she knew what I was about to say, she'd ask me not to, but that's one of the advantages of having the microphone. You do it and pay for it later. But some people were over at our home one time, and they wanted to know if God had spoken to me about a particular thing. Has God shown me anything? They really wanted to know, did the Lord speak anything to me about this particular matter? And I said, well, no, he hasn't, but I'll give you my opinion. And Nancy turned to me and said, who cares about your opinion? And I said, you have to take that in context. We all have opinions, and we exchange opinions all the time, but when someone comes and says, has God spoken anything to you? They're not asking for your opinion. I want to tell you tonight, I'm not giving you my opinion. God has spoken to me, and I have a message. And anytime we open the Word, we have the message. Anytime we accurately present what God has said in His Word, then we are preaching the Word. But I want to tell you tonight that God's given me a specific application and a specific word for the revival, for the school of ministry, for the church here, for the visitors, for those who are hungry and thirsty. God wants to speak to you. And you're going to get the title of the message very easily. In fact, you'll memorize it right now. It helps memorization when you repeat something out loud. So for those of you who struggle memorizing even 2 words, we're going to help, and we're going to say it out loud together. And it'll be written in your mind and in your heart. Say with me, holy desperation.
Holy desperation.
All right. Genesis chapter 32. I don't know exactly which way we're going to be ending things tonight. I don't know exactly how God is going to move. I simply know the direction that he's pointed me and what the end results will be. But if you're here with special needs, we will be praying for everyone. If you're sick and you need prayer, we'll be praying for the sick. If you need a fresh touch from God, we'll be praying for those who need a fresh touch. If you're away from God, if you're dealing with sin, you'll have an opportunity to get right with God. If someone brought you in here and there's a stirring going on, you'll have an opportunity to meet God tonight. But I just want you to open your hearts wide and let the wind of the Spirit guide us the way he wants us to go. Amen? Amen. Genesis 32 tells us the account about Jacob preparing to meet his brother Esau. Jacob was a man that lived in two different dimensions. On the one hand, he knew God, and he was a worshiper of God, and he depended on God. On the other hand, he was a conniver. He was a guy that could make a way when there seemingly was no way. And sometimes it seemed it was the flesh opening the door, and sometimes God opening the door, and sometimes it seemed to be kind of a mixture. But always when it seemed that there was no solution, he'd find one. Just like many of us. Just like many of us in ministry. We know how to depend on God, but then there's maybe some confidence in our method or our program or our ability or something in us or our history or what's happened up to now. And some of us that haven't crucified some areas of the flesh even know how to connive and break the laws without really breaking the laws. You don't have to say amen to it, otherwise you just convict it yourself, and you may be sitting next to a policeman. But Jacob is about to come to a turning point in his life, so much so that his name is actually going to change, signifying that he's now a new man with a new destiny. He had parted ways with his brother Esau 20-odd years before. And the last words he heard from Esau were words of anger, that Esau wanted Jacob dead. He thought, my dad's old, our father is old. When he dies, I'm going to kill Jacob. Jacob has stolen my birthright and stolen my blessing. I'm going to kill him. That's the last he knows. Now Jacob with his family, with his wives, with his concubines, with his children, with a massive army of flocks and herds, but not a lot of manpower. Animals, livestock, women, children, but not a lot of manpower. Jacob has to cross through Esau's region. Jacob also went on his way, verse 1, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, this is the camp of God, so he called that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir in the country of Edom. He instructed them, this is what you are to say to my master Esau. Your servant Jacob says, I have been staying with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and donkeys, sheep and goat, men servants and maid servants. Now I am sending this message to my Lord that I may find favor in your eyes. Jacob is trying through natural means to appease Esau and to humble himself so that Esau will let him through and let his family through. When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, we went to your brother Esau, and now he is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him. This means trouble. Within a day, Jacob's family could all be killed. Within a day, from the youngest child right through to his wives, they could be dead. Or Jacob could be killed and they could be taken to be wives of others and slaves and servants of others. So Jacob hatches a plan. In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. He thought if Esau comes and attacks one group, the group that is left may escape. He's still thinking in the natural. He's still hatching a plan.